What is up, students? It's the political teacher here, and today we are going to be talking about sealioning. For those of you who don't know what sealioning is, I sure didn't. Sealioning is a type of internet trolling which consists of bad faith requests for evidence or repeated questions, the purpose of which is not clarification or elucidation, but rather an attempt to derail a discussion or to wear down the patience of one's opponent. Sounds like a pretty shady tactic if you ask me, but let's listen to an expert on this subject.
Have you ever been in an argument with someone and they just keep repeating the same annoying questions over and over again? So you keep answering them thinking that eventually you'll be able to convince this person, but then they just keep asking more obtuse and ridiculous questions?
For reference, watch any Ben Shapiro or Milo Yiannopoulos videos on YouTube where the left is asking him questions. More and ridiculous, obtuse questions as it goes on.
Well, I'm sorry to say it, but you just got sea lion. Sea lioning as a term comes from this 2014 webcomic by David Malky as a part of his Wondermark webcomic. Let's go through it together.
Yes, let's do that. But to save y'all from listening to some absolutely cringy voice acting, I'm gonna go through it myself with y'all. So here we have the comic in question, and it's written by David Malky. In the first panel, you can see that a woman and a man are clearly riding in what appears to be a steam-powered carriage or whatever, but the woman proclaims, "I don't mind most marine mammals, but sea lions, I could do without sea lions," and the man replies, "Don't say that out loud." In the second panel, a sea lion appears out of nowhere and says, "Pardon me, I couldn't help but overhear." The man proclaims, "Now you've done it." Pretty funny start. We get where it's going. They don't like sea lions, but a sea lion appeared. Comic relief. In the third panel, the sea lion proclaims, "I would like to have a civil conversation about your statement. Would you mind showing me evidence of any negative thing any sea lion has ever done to you?" As far as 3 panels into the comic, it is already clear that the sea lion is representative of the right, and the normal, average, everyday people are representative of the left. As far as this goes, the sea lion has only stated, "Would you mind showing me any evidence of any negative thing a sea lion has ever done to you," trying to gain information and fact about why they do not like sea lions. What is their reasoning behind it? That kind of thing. So it's pretty obvious that the sea lion is representative of the right, and that this is somehow annoying and a troll, not just fishing for information to confirm and debate and blah 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 blah. Let's move on. In the fourth panel, the woman proclaims, "Go away," to the sea lion, and the sea lion replies, "There's no need to raise your voice, I'm right here. I'm just curious if you have any sources to back up your opinion." In the fifth panel, the woman is in bed and the sea lion is still there, and she's claiming, "You're in my house." And the sea lion says, "You made a statement in public for all to hear. Are you unable to defend the statements you make, or simply unwilling to have a reasoned discussion?" In the sixth panel, the man proclaims, "Told you, dude, sea lions." The sea lion replies, "I have been unfailingly polite, and you two have been nothing but rude." The woman, with a sour look on her face, replies, "I am trying to eat breakfast." And the sea lion replies to that, "Very well, we shall resume in an hour." Okay, it is clear that this is highly exaggerated. Obviously, not every person who wants information based on what you say is going to follow you to your house and bother you while you're eating breakfast. That is an extreme comic relief for the sea lion character to make it funny as a comic. But it is obvious what it's trying to portray. Like I said, the sea lion is a member of the right. It is clear that he's just asking for, right there in comic number 5, panel number 5, "You made a statement in public for all to hear. Are you unable to defend the statements you make, or simply unwilling to have a reasoned discussion?" The left does this all the time. They always give statements and opinions and what they believe to be facts, but then they never back it up with facts. And when asked to, they completely ignore it or give these information tips that don't follow up all the way through. Or they, of course, call you racist, in which case your argument is immediately invalid to anyone on the left.
The point of the comic strip is that sea lioning is when someone repeatedly asks you questions in bad faith and demands that you drop everything and devote all your time and energy to them.
how do you know for a fact that it's not in good faith? For all you know, they could actually be wanting to know your side of the story so you can talk about your difference in opinion and actually debate, not just spout out what you believe in and then give no information to prove it.
I remember when I first heard about this term, I was just like, wow, that describes so much of my experience online. There were so many times where I got dragged into completely pointless debates online that dragged on for hours or days and literally got us nowhere. The reason for that is that a sea lion isn't actually trying to hear out your side. They just want to frame their argument as polite and reasoned questions.
Because it's impossible to actually ask a question and be polite at the same time. Sometimes people are just being polite and asking a question.
So they pester you over and over and over again until you set them up to make their argument. And they repeatedly ask you questions that they don't really care about the answer to. They just want to drag you back into the argument with them. Even if you do answer their questions, they will avoid your answers or deflect from them and ask you more questions. You'll end up going in circles, explaining yourself endlessly like you're talking to a really annoying brick wall.
You just explained debating!
And that's kind of the point. Sea lioning is a form of trolling. It's not meant to actually get answers or change minds. It's meant to waste your time and wear you down. Their hope is that eventually, if they keep bothering you over and over and over again, you'll eventually concede and just say, oh, okay, I guess you're right since you're so persistent and I'm tired of arguing.
Or, they just want you to answer the dang question and talk about it. Not just dodge the question the whole time.
If you try to leave the argument, they'll frame it as you giving up and them winning. It's a lot like in 3rd grade when bullies are like, you won't fight me because you're a chicken. It's the same basic technique. You appeal to the person's desire to prove their point and be right, and hopefully you can drag them into a debate where you have no intention of listening to them.
With that logic, why not just say, okay, you're right, even if you don't mean it, just to get them to stop arguing? What do you think guys do all the time with their girlfriends so they don't have to argue? We just say, yes, you're right, and then move on, even if we don't believe the other person is right. If you don't want to argue, just pretend to admit defeat, and then move on.
And you're just hoping that you have more stamina than them. If you haven't been sea lioned before, I'm sure you can see how annoying this would be. And if you have been sea lioned before, hopefully it feels good to be able to have a word to apply to it.
I do see how it could be very annoying that every time you make a statement, someone's asking you to back it up. That's why don't make statements unless you have the facts to back it up, and then you can just say your facts and move on with life, or, like I said, pretend to admit defeat and move on with life. Another point I want to go ahead and make while we're at it is no one is going to want to take you seriously at all if you can't back up your statements with facts. Why would anyone want to believe your statement when they could believe the person who has facts and scientific evidence and blah 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 whatever else to actually prove their statement over your opinion who refuses to state facts? You see the dilemma here? Most people can make the conclusion and say, well, the other person has facts. I'll probably listen to that because they have facts.
Now, there are people who will argue against this, obviously. They'll say that calling something sea lioning is just an excuse to not provide evidence for something, or an excuse to get out of a debate.
I feel like moments like this, the left is showing they actually know that they're full of crap, but they're saying it out loud to try to make themselves look like the good guys. Like, hey, we know we're full of crap, so listen to us. Look, I know I'm stupid, but hear me out. That kind of thing.
But the fact of the matter is, you don't owe everyone on the internet all the evidence in the world every time you talk about something online. If everyone has to bring up a backlog of thousands of articles on racism every time they want to talk about racism, we're never gonna get anywhere. Sometimes you gotta do your own research.
Didn't I already make this point before? Whatever, I'll reiterate. If you don't show fact to back up your points, then why would anyone want to listen to you in the first place?
A lot of questions that sea lions ask are really easy to just Google.
I could say the same thing about any leftist opinions, but go on.
And besides, nobody owes you their time on the internet. No stranger is required to present you, random internet person, with evidence. Nor are they required to debate with you for literal hours.
You don't got time to explain facts to me? I don't got a time to listen to you. Like I said before, already, at least twice now, why would anyone want to listen to you if you don't back up your statements with facts?
followers. This is especially true when someone has a larger audience, because while one person asking for evidence might not be much of a problem, hundreds of people all asking for evidence and for you to debate them, that's just not possible.
Okay, throughout history, people who are correct and in the right have always been questioned about their validity. Just look at the Jews throughout history. They've been correct all along, but they have been constantly attacked for it. Heck, just read the Bible. It's all in there. Or just history books. It's the same story. Just read about it. People throughout history have been condemned even when they were in the right. So I understand the thought pattern here. But when 100 to 100,000 to 2 billion people all look at you and say, you're wrong, you don't just immediately shut off and say, oh, I'm right. Maybe you should question yourself just a little bit, have a little bit of humility and think, am I in fact correct? And if you do believe you are, make sure, because if there's 2 million people out there, or even just 100 people out there who believe you are incorrect, you may want to back up your statements with facts just to prove, at least to yourself, that you are in fact correct.
You'd spend literally all of your time researching evidence for these trolls and wasting your time arguing with them when they were never asking in good faith anyway. And that's another part of this. This all hinges on the questions being asked in bad faith. If you have a genuine question and you're asking it in good faith, meaning you're willing to listen and you actually care about the answer, and you've already done some basic internet research and couldn't find the answer, then by all means, ask it. That doesn't make you a sea lion. You're allowed to have questions.
But only if they don't disagree with my political views.
But also, remember that you're not entitled to anyone's time. If they don't respond to you, don't take it as a personal insult. They probably just don't have time. Or maybe they've been swarmed with so many sea lions, it can be hard to weed out the non-sea lions. This isn't about avoiding debate or avoiding evidence.
But without debates and evidence, why should someone listen to you?
Debates with people in good faith can be useful, but debates with people who are unwilling to listen, like sea lions, are pointless.
That's leftist talk for y'all. Let me translate for those who don't understand. That means I will not talk to someone unless I can change their minds. If they don't want to change their mind for me, they're useless to talk to.
And obviously, claims need evidence.
Did you just prove yourself wrong?
But you're not required to find and hand-deliver that evidence to every single individual who requests it. Like when you mention something that depends on the Earth being round, you're not required to present all of the scientific evidence for a round Earth. Imagine how exhausting that would be every time you mention something that involves the Earth being round. People can do their own research for that. No one is entitled to your time or unpaid labor, even if sea lions would have you believe otherwise.
But see, people can do incorrect research or not do research at all, in which case, that's why you have to have the facts to back up your own claims. Otherwise, why should someone listen to you? Also, against the argument with the round Earth, every single time someone who believes in the normal round Earth goes up against someone who believes that the Earth is flat, we do have to continuously show all scientific evidence to someone who believes that the Earth is flat, because all scientific evidence proves the Earth is round, but they don't want to listen to it. And they don't do their own research. All the research they do is the flat Earth real? And if you do that, or research specific terms like that, you will get the Earth is flat, not the Earth is round, in which case they're doing incorrect research. So, someone arguing a point has to be able to carry their own argument.
No one is entitled to your time or unpaid labor, even if sea lions would have you believe otherwise.
Yes, we are in fact entitled to your time if you want us low country hillbillies to start listening to you and bat an eye in your direction. Otherwise, you look like kind of an idiot on camera on YouTube. So provide facts and we'll bat an eye in your direction. Well guys, that's the end of the video. Like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed. Tell your friends, tell your family, class is always open. And as always, I'm the teacher, and the bell doesn't dismiss you. I do. Tune in next time for another political video, probably with video game background. See you later.